Most of you have never heard this word before. Vierling. Say it slow. Feel what it means. 4 barrels, 1 frame, 1 trigger, 1 hunter standing in the middle of a driven hunt with 4 shots loaded and a decision to make in under 2 seconds. The big manufacturers do not want you thinking about this category. There is no profit in it for them. No plastic, no polymer, no assembly line. Just a master gunsmith in a workshop in Austria or Idaho, spending 6 years of his life regulating 4 barrels to a single point of impact. This is the technical somersault of the gun world. These are the 5 best Vierlings ever built. Ranked, no fluff, no sponsorship. Just the raw truth about the most complicated hunting guns human hands have ever produced. Number 5. And do not mistake last for least, the Herbert Scheiring. Vierling earns its spot by doing something none of the guns above it attempted. Engineering a 4-barrel platform around pure accuracy as the first and only obsession. Not art, not speed, not caliber flexibility. Just cold, mechanical precision. The internal code name for this project was Quattro. And that name says everything about the philosophy behind it. In the tight-knit world of Furlock gunmakers, Scheiring does not get the headlines that Fanzoj or Hofer collect. He gets something better, the respect of the craftsmen who understand exactly what he pulled off with that block action. At the gun counter in Vienna, they do not argue about whether Scheiring builds quality. They argue about whether anyone else is even close. Here is the technical piece that separates this gun from everything else on this list. Scheiring uses a free-floating barrel system, unlike anything in the traditional Vierling world. In a standard Vierling, 4 barrels are soldered together along their entire length. When you fire, heat travels through that solder into the adjacent barrels, causing the whole cluster to flex and pull your point of impact. Scheiring cuts that connection. Each barrel expands independently. Thermal energy from shot 1 does not drag shot 2 off target. Your point of impact stays locked through every round in the sequence, not just the first. This gun runs on 8x57 IRS, the same proven driven hunt cartridge you will see again higher on this list. The Anson trigger system uses levers arranged at the top of the action. The pull is exceptionally crisp and consistent. The Doppler rod safety engages on the single trigger without interrupting the firing sequence. The strikers are deliberately short to cut firing delay to the absolute minimum, vital when a wild boar is closing at full speed through thick brush. Detachable ejectors serve 2 barrels each. The lever action opening system works fully ambidextrous, right or left hand, no modification required. The scope mounts at an unusually low position because the block lock geometry allows it. That gives you a natural cheek weld and a faster sight picture under pressure. For driven hunts where the shot window is 2 seconds or less, that difference is the whole game. You are looking at 110,000 euros, approximately $120,000 at current exchange rates. Steep money for a gun that prioritizes function over soul. And that is my honest complaint before you write the check. The block action is bulletproof engineering, but it lacks the soul of a traditional sidelock. It feels engineered rather than crafted. If old world romance and heirloom character matter as much as performance, walk away. There are guns on this list that will speak to you in ways the Scheiring never will. The final call. Pull the trigger if you are a serious hunter who values repeatable performance above everything else. Buy to shoot. Take your game with total confidence, at any range, in any weather, on any driven hunt. This one earns its spot at number 5. But wait until you see the monster sitting at number 1. We are not even close to the peak yet. Now we get serious. The Peter Hofer Special Vierling sits at number 4 because Hofer operates in a category entirely his own, and that category is artistic obsession. Where others build guns, Hofer builds arguments. Arguments that the line between firearm and fine art simply does not exist. Walk into any serious collector's room in Europe and mention the name Peter Hofer. Watch what happens to the conversation. It stops. It refocuses. Because everyone in that room has an opinion. And every opinion is a version of the same thing. Respect. The kind of respect that only comes when a craftsman has done something nobody else had the nerve to attempt. Here is the technical piece that makes this gun unlike anything else on this list, and unlike anything else on Earth. Hofer engineered a system to conceal a third or fourth barrel entirely under the rib. Visually, you are looking at what appears to be a traditional double-barreled gun. Clean lines, slim profile, nothing out of place. Then you open the action, and the Vierling reveals itself. That is not a trick. That is a mastery of barrel geometry and frame scaling that no other gunmaker on this list has attempted. Nobody else even tries. He offers 46 different barrel combinations for his Vierlings. 46. You can order 12 gauge paired with 9.3 by 74R rifle barrels for dangerous game work, or go small with 20 gauge and 22 Hornet for upland birds and varmints in the same outing. Every single component is crafted from Bowler Superblitz steel, a material with exceptional tensile strength that allows barrel walls thin enough to save weight without losing structural integrity. His side locks with catch bars and double underlug locks ensure that even with 4 barrels firing in sequence, the gun stays responsive and balanced in your hands. Hofer is internationally known for his Hummingbird series, the smallest double-barrel rifles in the world at 2.2 pounds. He applies that same obsessive scaling discipline to his Vierlings. Every side lock, every ejector, every internal component is scaled specifically to the calibers being used in that individual gun. No two are alike. None ever will be. His relief engravings are registered as legally protected works of art under Austrian law, not a marketing claim, a legal designation. And that tells you everything about the level this man operates at. Now hear me out on this before you pull out the checkbook. The mechanical complexity is so high that field maintenance is simply not an option. If anything breaks, and with 4 barrels and side locks this intricate, the probability is real. That gun makes a one-way trip back to Verlag, and it waits in line behind every other bespoke commission Hofer is running. You are not dealing with a warranty department. You are dealing with one man and his waiting list. If you are the kind of hunter who puts hard field miles on a gun in mud and rain and cold, this relationship will test your patience in ways you did not budget for. My read on this one: if your definition of hunting includes the word legacy, stop looking. You found it. Buy to hold. The value on bespoke Hofer pieces moves in one direction only, and it is not down. Stepping up the game. Number 3 goes to the most radical mechanical departure in Vierling history, the George Hoenig Rotary round action. Vierling earns this spot by doing something every Austrian master in Verlag said could not be done, and doing it from a one-man shop in Boise, Idaho. Not Germany, not Austria, Idaho. That alone tells you everything about the level of conviction behind this build. Every other maker on this list opens the action with a lever. Hoenig opens it like a bank vault, a quarter-turn twist of the barrels. It sounds simple. It is anything but. And the reason Hoenig went this direction is not stubbornness. It is physics. Standard break action guns pivot around a hinge pin located below the axis of the bores. Under the massive pressures of modern rifle cartridges, that geometry creates a leverage effect that tries to rip the action apart over time, wearing down hinge pins and locking lugs with every shot fired. Hoenig eliminated that problem entirely by placing the locking lugs directly in line with the chambers. The force of firing drives straight back into the lugs, not sideways into a hinge. It is the same principle that made artillery breech design so brutally reliable under sustained fire. Applied to a hunting gun. In Idaho, the frame itself is turned on a lathe from a solid billet of S7 air-hardening tool steel, tensile strength of 320,000 psi. The resulting cylinder is perfectly symmetrical. No protruding handles, no switches, no visual clutter. Just a clean, round action that sits in your hands with the balance of a high-end target shotgun. When you mount this gun, it does not feel like a 4-barrel engineering project. It feels like something that was always supposed to exist, and somebody finally had the patience to build it. In the Vierling configuration, the system runs as an over and under pair. 2 triggers, 2 strikers, fire the first 2 barrels, then rotate the assembly another quarter turn to align the second pair with the same strikers. The caliber range is genuinely staggering. You can configure this platform from 17 HNMAR varmint barrels all the way up to 450 Nitro Express for the heaviest African dangerous game. One popular configuration runs 2 20-gauge shotgun barrels paired with 2 22 caliber rifle barrels. That is genuine all-terrain versatility in a single frame. Upland birds and varmints handled in the same outing without swapping guns. The accuracy numbers on this platform are not what you expect from a 4-barrel system. 4 shots into 3/4 of an inch at 100 yards. That is match-grade precision. Every single unit shows the immaculate hand fitting that only comes from a craftsman who builds 5 guns per year and treats each one as the only gun that matters. Now, here is what keeps Hoenig at number 3 instead of higher. The manual rotation between barrel pairs is a real commitment under pressure. Shoot 2 barrels, then twist the assembly a quarter turn to align the next pair before you can fire again. On a paper target at the range, that transition feels fast and satisfying. Rolls over smooth as a polished ball bearing. On a charging Cape Buffalo at 20 yards, that quarter turn might as well be a full minute. If raw speed through all 4 rounds in immediate succession is the only metric that matters to you, the Hausmann above it is your gun, not this one. The bottom line on Hoenig is simple: the most rugged and innovative action built on American soil in the last century. Buy to shoot and display. A conversation piece that can still anchor dangerous game in the field when it matters most. The field is thinning. Number 2 goes to Hausmann and Company, and this gun earned its spot by solving the problem that has haunted 4-barrel guns for over a century. Every other Vierling maker on this list gives you a selector, a switch, a lever, a decision point between barrels before you can fire. Hausmann looked at that problem and threw the selector out entirely. 4 barrels, 1 trigger, no thinking required. When a driven hunt moves at full speed through thick timber, that simplicity is not just a feature. It is the difference between a filled tag and an empty one. The philosophy behind this gun was built on 4 words. 4, 4, 1, 1, 4 barrels, 4 locks, 1 trigger, 1 safety, nothing else. Hausmann stripped the cognitive load out of the equation completely, because in a high-pressure driven hunt, cognitive load gets animals away clean and hunters standing there wondering what went wrong. Here is the technical piece that separates this gun from every other Vierling ever built. Most multi-barrel guns with a single trigger rely on recoil from the first shot to reset the mechanism for the second. That system works until it does not. A dud round produces no recoil. No recoil means the trigger freezes. A frozen trigger on a recoil-operated Vierling means 3 loaded barrels you cannot access. while the situation in front of you is still moving. Hausmann engineered around that failure point entirely. Their in-house developed mechanical switchover does not depend on recoil. It cycles through the locks in a defined, unvarying order. Bottom barrel, upper barrel, right barrel, left barrel. Every single time you pull, load the gun, safety off, pull the trigger 4 times. That is the entire manual of arms. Even with a dud in the first chamber, the system cycles forward without hesitation. All 4 barrels run on 8x57 IRS. An old cartridge, a proven cartridge. It balances real power with recoil you can manage on the 4th shot in rapid sequence, which matters enormously when you are talking about 4 locks firing in succession inside a single frame. The action uses a double underlug locking system with an added doll's head extension for total rigidity. 2 Holland and Holland style side locks combined with a double blitz action. The whole package weighs 8.8 pounds without a scope, remarkably light for a 4-barrel rifle. Total length sits at 40.5 inches. The stock is extraordinary Caucasian walnut burl, the kind of wood that belongs in a frame on your wall, not buried in a gun safe. Modern CAD design ensured the massive 4-barrel cluster does not result in a front-heavy gun that punishes you after an hour of mountain tracking. That 8.8-pound figure is the result of careful metallurgy and the integration of the blitz action, which allows for a more compact receiver than traditional full side lock designs, without sacrificing a single grain of structural integrity. Now I need to be straight with you about something before you write the check. You are locked into one caliber for all 4 barrels. Most people buy a Vierling because they want versatility across different game and different terrain. Here, you get none of that. No shotgun barrel for birds on the wing. No small bore option for varmints at the edge of a field. If your hunt requires more than one answer, this gun only has one. That is not a deal breaker for the driven hunt specialist. But if versatility is the whole point of owning a Vierling, this one will leave you wanting. I know the Vierling purists are going to come after me hard for putting this above Hoenig. Drop your take in the comments. Tell me I am wrong. Show your work. The call here is clear. If you are a driven hunt specialist who wants 4 fast shots at big game and nothing else, this is your gun. Buy to shoot. This gun was built for the field, not the glass case. Entering the elite tier, number 1 was never in question. The Johann Fanzoj Vierling takes the top spot because it is a technical tour de force that nobody else on earth can touch. Not Hausmann at number 2 with its recoil-independent single trigger genius. Not Hoenig at number 3 with its artillery-grade rotary action. Not one of them, not any gun maker operating anywhere on the planet today, can put together what Fanzoj built in Vierling over 6 years of relentless, obsessive work. 6 years for a single firearm. Think about that for a second. Most cars do not stay in production for 6 years. Fanzoj spent that time regulating 4 different barrels, 2 different calibers, 2 different ballistic profiles, to a single point of impact. That is not craftsmanship. That is a declaration of war against the limits of what metal and wood can do. The specs on this gun are absolute insanity, and they start with a configuration nobody else attempted. Side-by-side double rifle barrels chambered in 9.3 by 74R. That is a classic hammer for dangerous big game across Europe and Africa, a round respected by professional hunters who have seen what happens when the wrong cartridge meets the wrong animal at the wrong distance. Nested inside that same frame is an over and under 20 gauge shotgun with 3-inch chambers. 4 completely different ballistic animals living inside one action. The barrels run 23 inches long. The whole package weighs 10.12 pounds. It feels massive because it is massive. But the balance Fanzoj achieved is so precise, it handles like a dream in thick brush. which is the only place a gun this capable has any business being used. The lockwork on this platform is where Fanzoj separates himself from the entire field. Holland and Holland style side locks for the rifle barrels, 4 individual automatic ejectors, 1 per barrel. Dump 4 rounds and those cases are gone before the echo clears. The trigger system uses a selector switch positioned behind the top lever. Push it forward for the 20 gauge. Pull it back for the 9.3 rifle rounds. For a high-pressure driven hunt where the game changes in front of you between trigger pulls, that intuitive setup is everything. The Hausmann at number 2 gives you more raw speed through 4 identical shots. The Fanzoj gives you something the Hausmann cannot, the ability to shift from a charging bore to a bird on the wing without changing guns, without changing your grip, without breaking your concentration for a single second. The regulation process alone is a story worth telling. Fanzoj's masters use a 150-year-old method, aligning the barrel set straight to the bore axis, then soldering with ribs and sights. A solderable shim at the muzzle allows for minute adjustments. The process is test, solder, fire, assess, desolder, adjust, repeat, for weeks, for months, until every barrel hits where the others hit. There is no software for this, no machine, just a master gunsmith with 60 years of accumulated instinct, staring down 4 barrels until they agree with each other. The Swarovski scope is then regulated to 100 meters on top of that. When you pull the trigger on a Fanzoj Vierling, you are pulling the trigger on 6 years of someone's life. Snaps clean as a dry twig, broken over a knee. No travel, no mush, no ambiguity. The aesthetic finish matches the mechanical achievement without apology. High-grade Circassian walnut burl for the stock. Deep relief ornament engraving by master engraver F. Mack across the receiver. Animal scenes cut with the kind of detail that makes you forget you are looking at a functional firearm. This is the gun that Hofer at number 4 studies. This is the gun that keeps every other gunmaker in Furlock awake at night. Now here is where the fantasy meets the bank statement, and this is the part Fanzoj will never put in their brochure. You are looking at $200,000. That is not a typo. That is a high-end sports car for a single gun. If you are not in the top 1% of collectors, you are looking at a museum piece you will never own. The weight is also a real factor out in the field. 10 pounds is a serious carry for a full day of mountain trekking. If your back is not up for that challenge, close the catalog before you fall in love with something you will regret at altitude on day 3. The call on this one needs no decoration. If your portfolio can handle it, own it. This is the absolute peak of what a human being can build with metal and wood. Buy to hold and sell, a 30-year investment that only appreciates as the old masters retire and the waiting lists close forever. That is the 5. From Fanzoj's 6-year declaration of war against the limits of engineering, to the Rotary genius Hoenig built in a one-man shop in Idaho, to Scheiring's free-floating precision that rewrote what accuracy means on a 4-barrel platform. These are the most complicated hunting tools ever put into human hands. No fancy PR packages sent to the door. No envelopes, no favors. These rankings are built on real engineering data, documented specs, and the kind of fieldwork most channels do not have the patience for. If you want marketing fluff, you know where to find it. This is not that channel. Keep your powder dry and your aim true.